What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show. Me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And today I am back with my top 5 fights for the month of November. There are a lot of really good fights this month, and I think it's a good time to kind of step back and have a look at what's coming up. Now, I will say there are a couple of fights coming up next week at UFC 322, a couple of big title fights. And I'm going to do a separate show talking about them next week, and the lads are going to obviously have a full breakdown of those and that card as well next week. So no point me talking about them, 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to be talking on the betting show and everything as well. So I'm going to look at a few fights from that card, but fights from other cards as well throughout the month. So let's call this your top 5 non-title fights of the month in the world of mixed martial arts. And it's kind of a quiet time, I suppose, outside of the UFC. There's no PFL until December. Cage Warriors, I believe, don't have any card until December as well. I know Octagon have one card as well, and it's not a bad card. KSW have a card coming up as well, but mostly UFC. But the first fight I want to look at is actually in Brave, and it's Brave 100 this weekend. And the main event of Brave 100 is and again, another thing I wanted to say here, this is a very much it's the co-main event. Actually, it's not the main event. These are all kind of UFC contender fights, even this one in Brave, because Mokaev is fighting Gerard from here in Ireland, obviously in the co-main event for the 125-pound title over in Brave. And Brave have a pretty good card on. They have the 135-pound title as well. They have Fakhruddin and Lahore as well fighting at 175 pounds, I believe, but a welterweight title there ish. And there's some other good fights as well, some good undefeated prospects and some people coming through, so not a bad card there at all. But the Mokaev versus Burns fight is the one I want to mention here, because look, I might be a tad bit biased here, but when I look at an Irish fighter coming through, and I think he's 7-1 now, Gerard Burns, and he's very, very good prospect. And a lot of people from here, my colleagues over in the Old Triangle have been talking about this guy for years. He's a really, really, really good prospect. But at this stage of his career, is it really the right time to be throwing him in there against Mokaev? Now, I know he's a little bit older. I believe he is 29, I believe. So again, a little bit older, coming out of a very good gym in FA as well. Where Reece McKee is training, Paul Hughes. This is, I believe, his third fight. His fifth fight on Brave, but I suppose, his third scheduled fight of 2025. He had one fight cancelled. He fought against Ochoa last time out. Got a great win there, unanimous decision, and now this fight coming up at Brave 100. So, he has experience. He has some good wins. He lost his second fight of his career, has gone undefeated in 6 since then. But, this is by far and away the best fighter he's ever fought. I think the best record of his opponents beforehand was when he fought him was 6-4 or 7-3, I think, or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that this early in your fight, but going from that to Mokaev is a real different story. So that's my biggest issue here, I suppose, with the fight. But for Mokaev, it's another good test against another good young up and coming fighter, and he's been fairly active since he went out of the UFC. He last fought in the UFC 304 against Beneil, obviously that famous fight in July of 2024. Then he fought over in Brave in December last year. He had a karate bout in Karate Combat in May, and then he fought in June again at 971 FC, which is, that's not a promotion I'd like to be talking about too much. And now he's back in Brave again in November. So in the space of 11 months, this is going to be his third MMA fight, and then he had another karate bout as well, which is good and very active, making the way, getting down there and taking on some good fighters. So I said these are all contender fights, and I truly believe this could be a contender fight, because Pantoja is running out of people at the moment. If he beats Joshua Van, I'm looking at the rankings here, Van, Moreno, Rival, Albazi can't stay fit or get a win. Tayara, again, he's not going to be the next guy, I'd say, unless there's no one else. You know, Kaikar France, again, beat him. Perez been beaten recently. Manel Cape, again, hard to trust him. So, like, if Mokaev could get back into UFC, he could be in for a title shot straight away. So, let's see what happens. Let's see if he can win this fight. You know, Burns is, again, he's absolutely no joke whatsoever. He hits very hard. He's very good on the ground as well. Good submissions. But look, Mokaev is going to be a tough fight for not just Gerard Burns, but for anyone in the world. But definitely want to keep an eye on for that fight this weekend. That fight is on November the 7th. So it is this weekend. Yeah, it is indeed this weekend. The next fight I want to talk about, and the next two fights I want to talk about indeed, are from UFC 322. And the first one I'm going to go with, that's November 15th, is Brady against Morales. This is one of those fights where you're asked in a Q&A, or you're thinking after an event, what's going to be next? Who should fight who next? And you kind of say to yourself, oh, do you know what? Brady and Morales would be a right good fight. And here we go. You know, in the UFC rankings, Brady's number 2, Morales is number 8. You know, it's a chance for Brady to put himself, you know, maybe number 1. We'll see. There's another fight coming up that might determine that. We'll talk about that in a second. And if you're Morales, you win that fight, you know, you're going straight in probably at that number 2, number 3, number 4 position, and you're putting yourself right in line to fight a winner of a fight we're going to talk about coming up, or the title fight, which is obviously going to be talked about a whole lot next week. Like, Morales last time out beat Gilbert Burns, he beat Neil Magny before that, and beat Jake Matthews, like 3 very, very good wins. Whereas, like, Brady on the other side of it then beat Edwards, beat Burns as well, and beat Kelvin Gastelum before that. You know, the Belal fight obviously was before that, where he lost, but that comeback, that 3-fight win streak, if he turns it to 4, it could very well be a real fight that we have on our hands here. But I would say, for me personally, this is the sort of fight that, like, will it determine the number 1 contender? Maybe, maybe not. But to be honest, I don't really care, because this is just such a great fight. Like, two guys who will go in there and, you know, try to finish, and if they can finish, make it an exciting fight anyway. Like, Morales has 14 finishes and he's 18 fights, still 18-0. And, you know, Brady has 19 fights and 10 of them have finished. So, like, he has 9 decisions. He's won all 9 decisions as well. But I think even in some of those decisions, I went to decision against Gilbert Burns over 5 rounds. That's done a lot for him, and I think it was, you know, it wasn't the most boring of fights either. Let's put it that way. And I just would love. The thing here, right, is Sean Brady? I always take the example of Jose Aldo, right? When he stepped down from title contention, he just blasted Jeremy Stevens out of there. Like, can Sean Brady saw that the guys who are not in the top 3 or 4 in the world are on another level to me, and I'm just going to destroy them? Or can Morales on the other side of it show, I'm in that level and I can beat Sean Brady, and I go out and fight JDM or Islam or Garry or Belal, whoever it might be? That's why I'm looking forward to this fight, and I can't wait to see it. The other fight from that card I'm looking forward to is Dariush versus Saint Denis in the lightweight division. Dariush ranked number 9, Saint Denis ranked number 13. And again, this is your old Rock'em Sock'em Robots type of fight. Like, I'm looking forward to this, because I often speak about Beneil Dariush. There's some fights he goes into and I know he's definitely going to win. Like the Hinata Moicano fight, he's definitely going to win. Charles Oliveira fight, he's definitely going to lose, because he doesn't have the best chin in the world. But against the guy who maybe doesn't hit very, very hard and has some holes in his game, he's going to beat them. But if a guy has no holes in his game and he hits very hard, he's definitely going to beat Beneil Dariush. I think Saint Denis is a mix of both of them. Like, I think he hits very hard, but I think he has big holes in his game. Like, he had a great win over Mauricio Rufi last time out, but Moicano did beat him. You know, Dr. Savage took him down, hurt him. Poirier beat him, obviously, as well, in a different sort of fight. But if he fights the way he fought against Poirier for the first few minutes, Beneil Dariush might get a chance to show his skills. Like, Beneil Dariush, to me, I remember last time I had Luke Thomas on, we talked about this. If it wasn't for his chin, I think he'd be a world champion level fighter. And he's close to it now, but it's his chin that holds him back. And if Saint Denis can find that chin, it'll very much hold him back. But if he can't, every chance in the world that Beneil Dariush wins that one. And you know what? I'm looking forward to doing the betting show and talking about that one as well. So that's, again, just a real fun fight for me. Next two fights are both from the November 22nd event in the UFC, which goes down over in Doha in Qatar. Again, as I said, November 22nd. And the main event, the one I want to talk about first, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. I think this is a really one-sided fight. And I think Arman Tsarukyan is going to make mincemeat of Dan Hooker, if I'm honest. Tsarukyan ranked number 2 at the moment. Dan Hooker ranked number 7. And like Hooker has that because he beat Gamrot last time out. Now, it was a split decision over Gamrot. He deserved to win the fight, I think, from recollection. But, you know, Gamrot has had some great performances and some bad performances, and I think at that stage of his career he's getting to, that was a performance you still maybe wouldn't have expected out of him. And not to take anything away from Hooker, but because, like, if you're not at it 100%, Hooker's good enough to beat you, but if you are and you're at that level, you should be beating him. And I find it very hard to foresee a world where Arman Tsarukyan isn't at level to beat Dan Hooker. His wrestling is obviously worlds better than Dan Hooker's. Like, does Hooker have the finishing ability to take Arman Tsarukyan out of it? He's 18 finishes in 24 wins, which is very, very good, but only 11 knockouts. Now, 11 knockouts in 24, still very, very good. But who's he knocked out in the class of Arman Tsarukyan? I'm looking through the record here, and that would be, Gilbert Burns. Absolutely very, very good knockout. But other than that, I don't think anyone. So I think this is a fight to look at because, again, the contendership in that division, we still don't know what's going to happen with Ilia Topuria. You know, rumors going around, speculation that it's going to be Paddy Pimblett. Let's see on that if that's going to happen and going to be true. But if it isn't, and if they need someone, and you know it's not Gaethje or whoever, Tsarukyan, he was in that spot before. He could very quickly get back into that spot if he goes out there and blows Hooker out of the water. He could be the number 1 contender again. Now, I think he needs to do that, and I think he should do that, because if you put yourself in that position, you know, we all know, when you fight in the UFC, you're at the whimsy of Dana White. So go out and do what Dana White likes, even though we, us as analysts and journalists, let's say, in the sport, and that's why I call myself one of them. It shouldn't be encouraging that, but also the reality of the situation is that's what you need to do. So that's a fight I'm looking at and seeing what can Tsarukyan do. Like, what way can he finish this fight? What way can he win this fight? Again, everyone has a chance in mixed martial arts, but slim and none would, I'd say, the chance Dan Hooker has in that fight without too much disrespect towards him. And the last fight I want to talk about today, one that I absolutely cannot wait for, is the former champion at welterweight, Belal Muhammad, against Ireland's own Ian Garry. You know, this is, again, like Brady and Morales, just a brilliant fight. One that you'd be, you'd be talking about after an event, fantasy matchmaking. Belal ranked number 1, Ian Garry ranked number 6. If Belal was to win this, he, keep his ranking, put himself right back in with a chance of getting a title shot. One guy beat him and the other guy is a teammate. Is he going to fight either of them next? We'll see on that. But if Ian Garry is to win it, he's going to go as the number 1 contender next, and he'll have to be the next guy in line for the title. I know Shavkat is there as well and things, but again, the sport is a lot about what have you done for me lately. So it's a massive, massive, massive fight for that. You know, Garry beat Carlos Praches last time out on short notice after the wonderful fight and the wonderful performance against Shavkat Rakhmonov, after beating MVP Neil Magny and the rest. You know, Belal coming off of that disastrous loss, I suppose, to JDM, where a lot of people didn't expect it after, beating Leon Edwards in a wonderful performance against him. So this is one of those fights for Belal where he's hanging on and he's trying to get back to that position, and it's one of those fights for Ian Garry where this is the opportunity to get to that position and go to the next level and be that guy. And, you know, apart from title fights, these are the sort of fights that, they light you up. They're like, and like, as well, I think some people say, you know, Belal is boring. Some people say Ian is boring. I wouldn't say that for either of them, to be honest. But this is the sort of fight, I think, that won't be boring, because Ian's not the type of guy that's just like wrestled and laid upon. And if Belal can do that to Ian, I think it'll be pretty entertaining, because it'll show a different side of Ian, and it'll show where Belal is, and he's at that top level still. And I think if Ian can keep the fight on the feet, it's going to take either something special from Belal with his tactics to avoid getting hurt by Ian Garry, or we're going to see something really special from Ian Garry, either tactically or devastatingly. Let's put it that way. So those are my 5 fights for the month of November. I cannot wait for them. The weather's getting cold, the evenings are getting short, but the fights are still as good as ever. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.